Aloha, it's Robert with Blue Planet Surf. Today's video is going to be all about leash strings, how to attach them to your board. It seems like a really simple thing, but it's important to do it right because the leash string is often responsible for leash failure. If you ever had leash failure, you know that swimming after the board, especially in a rocky shoreline, or losing your board way offshore in a downwind or something like that, is definitely not a pleasant thing. So you want to make sure that leash is properly attached to your board, and I'm going to show you a few little hacks and the proper way to do it. And it's pretty simple, but it can make a difference. A lot of times the leash plug has a sharp edge that can cause your leash line to fray. So if you notice your leash line fraying or getting worn out, always replace it before it fails. So most leashes come with a leash string. It already has a tie in it usually, so it's attached to the leash. You just take it off from the Velcro, and then I've seen people untie the knot, put a single string through the leash plug, and then tie it again. So that's one way to do it, but you only have one piece of rope going around the leash plug. So a better way to do it, which also loops two strings around the leash plug, which is a little bit stronger, is to kind of push the leash string together, make a point, keep the knot in it, thread it through underneath the leash plug, and then pull it up. And then one way to pull it tight is just to put the knot through the loop and then pull it tight. What I don't like about this method is that you have a knot at the top. Now if you put the leash over that knot's going to kind of spread out the Velcro, and it's not going to let the Velcro adhere properly to each other. It can cause the Velcro to fail, and when it pulls tight, it's very difficult to get that leash back off. The way I like to do it is to loop the rope underneath the knot and then pull it tight so the knot gets pulled down into the leash plug. That way you have the loop without a knot in it, so it's easier to attach the leash to it. And also you have the knot at the bottom, so if you have to ever take that leash string out, you can just pull on the knot and it kind of comes out pretty easily. At Blue Planet, we like to use 600-pound test strength spectra line, which is basically made for kite surfing. It's abrasion resistant, has like a shield around the inside. Inside is made of spectra, which is very strong. 600-pound test strength is plenty strong. So as long as you tie it properly and so on, it's a very strong leash line, and I find it easier to thread through the leash plugs. When tying a knot into the spectra line, I like to leave about half an inch or 3/4 of an inch of line sticking out past the knot, because sometimes when the knot tightens, when it gets pulled really hard and the knot's not fully tightened, it'll pull the line through the knot, and you don't want that to happen, obviously. Now on our Blue Planet boards, we also have 2 leash plugs. So in the case of 2 leash plugs, you can make a loop through both leash plugs that allows it to spread out the load. Like if you're in a big wave, it pulls on the board, it's not going to rip out 2 leash plugs at once. Usually if that happens, a single leash plug, I've seen those get ripped out of the board, but double leash plugs, as long as you apply it properly, it's very strong. It's very unlikely that your board's going to have the leash plugs ripped out of it. For me personally, in bigger waves, I just use 2 leash lines. I'll use 2 of those thin spectra lines and attach them both through both leash plugs. Make one a little bit longer than the other. 2 is safer than 1, and you definitely don't want that leash to come off in the middle of the ocean if you're doing a downwinder or way outside on a big set. There's a lot of reasons why you don't want your leash string to fail. So you want to make sure the leash line is not too long. If the leash line is too long, the rail saver will go past the rails, and the leash line can actually get pulled through the rails on a big wave. So you want to make sure that the leash line is short enough so the rail saver, which is that nylon part on your leash, is on the rail to protect it. I hope you liked this video about leash line hacks. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up, and if you're not already a subscriber, subscribe to our channel down below, Blue Planet Surf on YouTube. And as always, thanks for watching. See you on the water. Aloha.